We are here with our lettuce that last year decided to go ahead and volunteer itself. We didn't plant any of this. It was just volunteers from last year. You can see that they're starting to bolt, which means that they're starting to go to seed, which is a good thing because next year we'll have a lot more lettuce. It's just going to sprinkle lettuce everywhere. We can also collect some of the seed and use it and put it in different areas as well. It's nice to put your cold hardy plants close where it's more of on a northern side, so that they get more shade, so that they don't get so dry. And so this is where these are on the north, or actually on the south side, but there is north coming this way, but we have a mountain in the background which shades it more, so it's good for things like lettuce and onions and spinach and kale, things like that. And so you can tell when they start to bolt because they start to grow tall, and so that's what those have done. They're starting to grow tall. You can still harvest the leaves and stuff underneath, and they will still go to seed, but yeah, it's going to reseed itself for next year. Our onions over here are doing good that we just planted a few days ago. They're growing along with the chives near the end. There's chives that were from last year. And if we come down here, we'll be able to see the spinach that's already bolted, that's already set seed. The seeds are all over the ground now, and I can collect what's left and put them in a different area if I like.
Tell about the weeds here. Why you don't remove them?
Yeah, we don't remove any of the weeds. We chop and drop because they're natural fertilizer for what's needed in that area. So we just let them grow, and then we chop them and drop them and let them, do their thing.
Do you have anything here?
No, there's nothing there. That's just all weeds. In fact, I'm going to plant my next bunching onions there. But this is the spinach. And it overwintered last winter. It just kind of volunteered from last fall, and overwintered. But if you look down here, you can see all the seeds that have already dropped. And so I can gather some of those or take them from the plants themselves. But the seeds will definitely come up next year with a whole bunch of new spinach. So these are all spinach seeds that will produce for this fall and for next year. And I'm most likely going to cut off the tops of these, hang them upside down, let them dry in a paper bag, and then they just will all catch in a paper bag that I can use and plant wherever I want them, because we like lots of spinach. It's really good for green smoothies, as well as cooking, but yeah, spinach is...
Tell why you have the zip ties here.
Oh. Okay, so the zip ties we have around, it's kind of it's an animal bird type of protecting netting, which keeps the deer out. It keeps the raccoons. It keeps skunks or anything else that might eat your produce. But yeah, we were having, deer prefer what we plant just like we prefer it over weeds, and so they eat that. Yesterday, I had to put a cage around a weed that I transplanted over here, one of these tree cages, because the deer were eating the top of this weed, which is kind of a wild spinach, and they seem to like that too. So maybe you want to get closer and show what wild spinach looks like, but we can come over there and
just show what we did around the trees here while we are at it.
Yeah, and the trees, we were having problems with deer eating them, and so, and plus the snow load that we get every year. It's about, 5 to 6 feet of snow, and so this is just cement wire, and I like these for tomato cages too, but not quite as big around, not quite as big diameter, but they work really great because you can still reach in for your tomatoes and just grab your tomatoes, but yet it protects them, and it helps them to trellis up a little bit. But your tomatoes, you don't really need to put netting around them because no animals like to eat tomatoes, tomato plants that I've seen. And so, but this one right here is a plum tree, and the plums are just doing amazing. They're taking off. There was hardly anything but a stump here from the tree breaking off during the winter with the snow load. And so we've put this netting over, which is keeps the deer from eating them, which they love to do. And you only have to do it about this high because they don't reach underneath and they don't reach over. So you just put the netting over top, and as they start to grow, you can undo the tie and put it around the side. And when they get really big, they won't eat it anyway. And so this protects these little trees from everything. During the winter time, though, we're going to put that contractor plastic, which has the threads running through it and makes it really strong, over the top of this, so that snow we can just wipe off with a broom or whatever, because the snow really will break off a tree. It will totally destroy your trees, and you don't want to do that. So yeah, the best thing that I have found that works is to do these, and it's not that expensive either, so it's a good option.
But it cannot be too steep, because then the snow will push it and bend the cages. But it's not that bad here. It's not that steep right here.
And you can get rid of snow on the upper hillside too, so there is no there's no torque against the cages as well. So, you know.
And we are at almost 8,800 feet altitude here. So for the few of you guys that wonder if you can grow fruit trees at this kind of elevation, at least on our property, they grow awesome.
Yeah, and we have all kinds of fruit trees. So we have, you know, people will tell you, oh, you can't grow this, you can't grow that. Well, try it and see, you know, see if you can. A really good company to order fruit trees from that's really cheap, if you want them bare root, is Four Seasons, because and you can look online and get their catalog, but they are really inexpensive. They guarantee their plants, you know, for a year, and if they don't, you can exchange them. You know, it's a really good company, I found, and it's really cheap. But you know, you get smaller trees when you start, but you don't want them root bound anyway because they don't do so well. But another cheap but not as cheap option is just Costco in March. Costco in March, that's where actually we got a lot of these trees, but the ones I'm going to be planting for next year, because I'm going to be planting a lot more down here below us. I want some mulberries, I want some nut trees, I want some other types of orchard trees. So we're going to plant those down below. And so I'll be getting those from Four Seasons. But these ones here, I mean, we have plum, we have cherry, we have apple, pear, peach, nectarine. Yeah, that's about what we have right here. And people say, oh, you can't grow peaches up here. Well, they're growing fine. The trees are growing fine. The nectarines are growing fine. We've had some issues where, you know, the snow broke them off, so they're growing from the base now. But no, they're growing. We'll keep you informed, though, as to how well they do setting fruit. And so we have great pollinators here, so I don't have any problem with that. You know, it's the late frosts and stuff that you might have to worry about. That's why we have it planted on the north side. They say if you plant your orchard trees on the north side of a property versus the south side, you'll do better, just for the fact that you're on the south side, they're going to bloom sooner, and then you're going to get a hard freeze and it's going to kill your blossoms. And so if you have it on the north side, they'll bloom later, and so you'll have less chance of kill of your blossoms, so that they can survive. But we'll let you know when that happens. We did get a lot of blossoms from cherries. I picked them off just because I wanted to have the root system concentrate on growing the plant and not the fruit, which, you know, stunts its growth a little bit. So I picked all the blossoms, and I'm probably going to pick them for the next few years until they're a real strong tree, and then I'm going to let them set fruit.